occasionally, just to subject myself to it, I watch Fox News, not just in clip form, but try to watch it on television in longer form to see, as a Fox News viewer, what is the world I'm living in? And it's a crazy one. And so often the most irritating part of it is having to sit there as people say things that you know could so easily be debunked, pushed back against, smacked down. And you just sit there and no one does it and you're just thinking, what? But sometimes one person does it. And that's Jessica Tarlov on the 5. Let's check in on her. She's, of course, the one liberal on this 5-member show. And here is the first clip.
Of the womb.
No, but
the reality is often when you're talking about, some of these third-term abortions, it's about
that's not the
protecting
reality. That's what you want to tell people the reality is.
Well, no,
the reality
that is a reality in some states. But the bottom line is Donald Trump is protecting women in terms of law and order. Are you kidding me?
Law and order.
As the criminals run through this country and they're bailed out because people like Kamala Harris made a decision that we should bail everybody out.
You just said that, okay, women are overwhelmingly Democrat. There are more women voters, right? You guys you can vote for abortion. Go for it. No one's stopping you.
What? He means, I guess, on the state level, you can do it. Hey, Greg, sometimes we think that rights should be universal for people. I don't want to hope that eventually in this red state, the state legislatures who we've seen are willing to go further than their people want them to in these extreme bans. I don't want to hope that ultimately something gets put on the ballot that then people can go out to vote for to get their rights back. How about we just, like we do with so many others, make it a national right, like it was for 50 years. Like it was before all of these terrible and heartbreaking stories were having to be told about the outcome of overturning Roe v. Wade. And one of the things that you really have to look out for, and by the way, I do have more clips from this to play for you, is if someone has a weak argument, and especially conspiracy theorists, MAGA conspiracy theorists, especially, do this a lot. What they'll do is when they get cornered, they just throw it to a different topic. And so you never feel like you got that slam dunk, we've completed this topic and you've conceded. Because it's, well, this thing, well, that thing. And you saw it there. Jeanine Pirro was saying something about late-term abortions and Jessica Tarlov was correcting her on it. And Jeanine Pirro goes, well, okay, the reason that Trump's a protector of women then is because of public safety. He's going to keep them safe. And so then Jessica Tarlov goes, well, crime's plummeting under Biden-Harris. So then Greg Gutfeld goes, well, vote for abortion then. If you can't stick on an issue, you probably are the one losing the argument. And even I think every issue right now in politics, every topic could logically, reasonably, and incorrectly be brought back to how Trump threatens democracy, because that's the foundation of everything, right? But even so in my personal life, when someone will say, well, I don't want to talk about that. I don't know. I need to look into the fake elector scheme, whatever. Can we just debate over the economy? I'll say, yes, we're going to come back to the democracy thing because that's foundational. But I also believe that you're incorrect on your economic position. So let me explain. And then we can talk about that as long as they'd like to. There's no need to go, well, what about January 6th? Because I believe that I'm informed enough to talk about one issue at a time. When you're not, you have to what about your way around in circles until someone gives up and stops talking to you. Next clip.
But this Michigan thing, and obviously we desperately need to win Michigan, but on the ground, I don't see this. On Tuesday, J.D. Vance had a rally there, and there were guys wearing auto workers for Trump shirts that weren't actually auto workers, so just paid to wear the T-shirt there. When there was the auto workers strike, Joe Biden on the picket line, Donald Trump had a rally that he said was in support of the unions, but was at a non-union plant because the union workers didn't want him there with him.
Yeah, Trump has really, well, in some ways effectively tricked people into thinking he's pro-worker when he's not. He didn't try that hard with pro-union, but even then he's tried to act like I'm also here in solidarity with the strikers. When Biden was getting positive press for becoming the first president to strike with UAW. And it's a really unfortunate phenomenon because it's true. A lot of working class people support Trump despite him being so openly and brazenly against their interests. This is just a short clip, but Janine Pirro also said this.
There's Donald Trump. You just saw him. I mean, he's relatable. He's seen as cool, and he has a swagger. And there's Donald.
You can't disagree with that. When I think, man, I have not used this word in ages. When I think swagger, I think Donald Trump. Okay? That's the strongest association in my brain. And then more from Jessica Tarlov.
I hope so. They're definitely trying. It's top of mind with all of this, and I do appreciate the explanation of World of Warcraft, but the point was being on a Twitch stream where a majority of young men are spending their time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Donald Trump also on a Twitch stream before we go to vote on November 5th. It's smart to go where the peoples are. Outreach, especially to black men, is something that they're focused on, things like barbershop tours, doing a lot of focus grouping in these blue wall states to talk to young men about what their lives are like, what their priorities are, the economy coming up over and over again, wanting to know specifically what is the deliverable. What did you do for me as part of the Biden-Harris administration? What will be different in the Harris-Walz administration? But I find it difficult to sit for all of these discussions about how the Democrats are blowing it with men and this is irredeemable and, you know, we're terrible and we belittle, et cetera, when the gender gap on the other side with women is bigger than the gap with men. So Donald Trump is losing to Kamala Harris with women 15 to 20 points, which is bigger than the margins of any Republicans have before. And I don't hear the Republican, tour about women. I just hear him even on with Andrew Schultz, doubling down on, it was good to get rid of Roe. That's no problem. I mean, Andrew Schultz set him up perfectly with a hilarious joke about how Barron is such a stud and bet you're feeling bad about getting rid of Roe v. Wade. Mm-hmm. And Trump can't even nail it because it's so ludicrous that he's a, quote, protector of women. That's the outreach to these women who are saying the Republican Party has abandoned us. They do not care about our needs. They do not understand our health. They do not understand our health care issues. They don't understand family planning. They don't even know how it works. You don't even have a.
And that's where Greg Gutfeld jumps in, but his response will make me rant for 10 minutes. So I'm not going to do that today for you. But it is just separate from the morality of it, strategically, very, very wacky to be getting feedback over and over and over that says people, or I should say specifically women, are abandoning you, Trump. They're abandoning you. And for your reaction to go, okay, I'm not going to change my policy stances. I'm not going to try to hear why that might be, but I'm your protector. So come back. And then it's a really interesting and accurate point from Jessica Tarlov that drives me crazy about how when a trend goes one way or there's a gap that's favorable to Republicans, they'll say that's why the Democrats are out of touch. The Democrats are alienating people. The Democrats are elitist snobs. The Democrats hate the working class, etc. So with working class men, that will be their argument. See, look at the polls. With working class women or women at large or any other group that we could talk about, where the numbers look more favorable for Democrats, Republicans never turn that back on themselves. And Trump goes verbatim, that's BS, is what he said about the women polling. And also similarly, and this drives me crazy, I do believe that it's important, which is why actually at the very beginning of my journey in this field, it was doing correspondent work, talking to Trump supporters for the Dave Backman Show. And one of the reasons I found that important, aside from just the sort of entertainment value of it and the interest around it, was to know that I was talking face to face with people who are of this block of people that I find so unreasonable, irrational, and I want to make sure I'm not arguing against a straw man, and maybe this isn't a real group of people talking the way they do. It's real. I can tell you it's real. So I totally am willing to say if a lot of people support a candidate, we don't have to agree with them. We don't have to share their views or normalize their views to at least go in and go, what is this? Let's at least understand it. Maybe just so we can know how to better oppose those views and then bring people over. But always wanting to hear and figure out why people believe what they do, I do think is important. But you see wall to wall, especially right when Trump came onto the scene, coverage in mainstream media of wow, so many people elected Trump. What is Trump tapping into? What is the truth that he's tapping into? How did Democrats F up so much? But then never is there a segment on Fox News going, why did 81 MFN people vote for Joe Biden when we say he's the embodiment of Satan? Let's listen. Let's hear what people are saying and try to empathize with it. There's never that. There's constantly that on the other side. Those double standards drive me crazy. Crazy. Back after this.
Data brokers are continually collecting extensive details about your online behavior, address, phone number, email, financial information, even political views. This sensitive information about you can easily be found on public data search sites by anybody, could be an ex, could be an employer, and these brokers sell the data to other businesses and even government agencies like the FBI and NSA, who can buy it in bulk to surveil Americans without a search warrant. Scammers and spammers also get your details from these lists, and that's why you get the text messages and the calls and the emails. But you can stop it. Our sponsor, Incogni, will send removal requests to data brokers who are legally obligated to comply. If any of your information remains online, Incogni will follow up and ensure that it's taken down. Incogni keeps you informed every step of the way, and it just saves you countless hours of work that would be nearly impossible to do on your own. I use Incogni, and what they've managed to do is remarkable. Go to incogni.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for 60% off. The link is below.